Larry Davis is described as black, 5'8" and 165 pounds. He used to have a mustache, but he is now clean-shaven with close-cropped hair.
He was known to be armed with a shotgun, 45 automatic, 357 Magnum, small caliber handgun, and an Uzi submachine gun.
Some of it will be causing what happened in the police case, and they don't like the fact that I exposed them the way I did.
The 21-year-old Davis is charged with 9 counts of first-degree attempted murder, all stemming from a wild shootout with police 2 years ago.
Throughout this case, Davis has painted himself as a victim of corrupt police officers. He says he was a drug enforcer for rogue cops. He says he shot his way out of his sister's apartment only in self-defense.
Larry Davis became a symbol of resistance, a focus, fighting.
All right. Peace and blessings. All praises due to the Most High. Today we're going to explore another story, little known story that happened in 1986, where 21-year-old Larry Davis was forced to defend himself against 9 murderous cops who attempted to assassinate him after he refused to continue selling D-rugs for them. Now, he was acquitted on those charges of attempted murder on 6 cops, but later framed after 3 trials of killing drug dealers that these murderous cops probably killed for themselves. Now, I'm going to show you this quick narration of some of the details of the Larry Davis case. Then I'll be back with some more information on how this relates to what we are continuing to see today, almost 40 years later. And these videos are fair use for literary and commentary purposes only. Just watch.
Larry Davis was born May 28th, 1966. He grew up in the Bronx, and before he began a life of crime, he always had a knack for music. Larry was the typical young black male who grew up in the 80s who struggled financially and eventually turned to selling dope. Larry ended up connecting with some dirty cops and some dirty detectives. They made a deal with them that when they confiscated drugs from other drug busts, Larry would sell those drugs for profit for both he and the cops. But this type of deal wasn't only just for Larry. There were hundreds of brothers who were just like Larry Davis who made these deals. Not only did they resell those same drugs that they confiscated, but they were also bringing drugs in. This is how they were flooding our communities. I mean, you had district attorneys in on this. You had detectives. You had the cops. You even had judges. I can go one even better. The U.S. military was in on this. Everybody was eating off this. But you know who are the criminals? Us. See, Larry was responsible for paying off a lot of cops, a lot of people in law enforcement. See, these people were putting their kids through college. They had all types of payments. Even admitted through court cases that they were making more than $8,000 a week. So when Larry said he wanted out, that's when all the madness started. See, Larry knew too much. He had too many receipts. They wasn't just about to let him walk away, knowing that he can actually bring them down. Plus, like I said, they was about to get ready to take a huge drop in pay. So they wasn't about to have that. They wanted Larry dead.
It all began on a dark November night, the 19th, when a team of police officers assembled outside a Bronx tenement. They believed Larry Davis was harbored in the apartment of another sister, and they wanted him for questioning in the slaying of 4 reputed drug dealers in late October.
I stick my head out and I could see the cops there, and they began firing, trying to hit me in the head. And they had machine guns too. They were spraying the whole wall, looked like Swiss cheese from the hose. They were just shooting randomly. So I already had a visual perspective of where they were because I had already looked out. So then I grabbed the bedroll off the back of my sister's closet, which is right there in the hallway. And I said, I'm going to use this as a decoy to make them think I'm running out there. So I threw it. and they began chasing it, shooting it, the bedroll. And when they did that, I came out and I was fired, and I had hit one point blank blast in the face, and I caught the other one on the floor because I already knew where they were.
The 21-year-old Davis is charged with 9 counts of first-degree attempted murder, all stemming from a wild shootout with police 2 years ago. 6 cops were injured. Davis escaped, but was captured 17 days later. Since the trial will pit the black defendant against white police officers he claims were out to get him, Kunstler admits he's been trying to get a mostly black jury.
Once he was apprehended, they tried to book Larry on all types of trumped-up charges. Like the original so-called charge for the reason that they came looking for him in the first place.
It was a stunning legal upset.
In March of
Not
88,
guilty 16 times.
Larry Davis was
Not guilty
acquitted
of
for the
murdering
killing of 4
4
Bronx drug dealers.
Not guilty of robbery.
In November of 88, he was acquitted for shooting all those police officers. Why? Because of evidence, ballistics, and admissions.
We had proof that there was a bullet found in the back apartment that had gone through a drawer.
He fired a 12 gauge. It grazed me here, as I would indicate here again. It grazed me here on the top of my head.
But how do you prove that that was the first shot? How did you prove that this was? And we hadn't been able to get any cops to say that anybody was carrying a shotgun in the initial group that rushed the apartment. They all said, oh no, they had handguns, oh no, they were the only emergency service had shotguns. Nobody had a shotgun. Nobody had a shotgun.
It had gone, skimmed Larry's head, stuck in a desk, and it had 2 holes. And I remember the day that with lasers, we checked out the trajectory, and Lynn Stewart looked at that, and she looked at it, and she looked at it, and then she says, now we know why it was self-defense.
Ralph went, and Peter DeForest, who later played a very great role in this case, went also to the apartment. And Peter DeForest is the head of forensic sciences at John Jay College now.
If that gun had been fired from so many feet back, it would have to be fired in the air, following the trajectory of the bullet. And she walked it down to a place where it could be held in a man's hand. And he says, and this is where he was when he fired it. He was down the hallway in the bedroom, and it was a sure shot because Larry wasn't more than 4 or 5 feet from him. And he fired, and it creased Larry's head and took him down, and then he backed off and everybody let it go. And as Lynn Stewart pointed out, nobody runs down the hall to a man within 4 or 5 feet of a man who's firing at you. Larry hadn't fired a shot when that slug creased his head and took him down.
And that is, of course, what truly won the case, that and the ability of a Bronx jury to hear the truth and not run away from it.
The verdict was a stunning legal upset. Not guilty 16 times. Not guilty of murdering 4 reputed drug dealers. Not guilty of robbery.
Say you find the defendant Larry Davis. Say you find the defendant Larry Davis not guilty of all counts submitted to you, and so say you all.
In December of 89, he was acquitted for the murder of a Harlem drug dealer. But in March of 91, he was convicted of killing a drug dealer from the Bronx, and he was sentenced to 25 years. On February 20th, 2008, Larry Davis was stabbed to death by an inmate named Luis Rosado in Shawagunk Correctional Facility. They tried to take him out. They wanted him dead. He fought him off, but he ended up being killed in the prison fight. R.I.P. Larry Davis.
All right, and so shout out to History No Chaser. That video was fair use for literary and commentary purposes only. That's just a quick narration with some of the video footage. But let me give you, once again, some of the background of the story. Now, Larry Davis lived in the Bronx. And, at 15 years old, he was very popular, known for DJing, rapping, and things like that. Very popular young man. At 15 years old, these corrupt police He had probably got a little bit of trouble here and there, but these corrupt police came to him and said, okay, where you're going to start selling D-rugs for us. And, you know, probably being either forced or tempted by the temptation, he started doing so. And in turn, you know, he paid the police. He made money. The guys who worked for him didn't get harassed by the police, you know, and everything was going good until, you know, he got a girl pregnant. He got a girl pregnant and he was very excited about having this baby. Now, and when the girl, you know, was pregnant, she lost the baby. And it is said that she lost the baby to an overdose. Turns out that those same police who were fronting Larry, the D-rugs, were also supplying this girl with the cocaine, and which in turn led to her having a miscarriage. Now, when Larry found that out, he blamed the death of his unborn child on the cops. And that is when his friend said, okay, well, he said, I'm finna stop doing this. I'm finna stop doing this. I'm not selling anymore. And he told the cops, basically, I'm not selling anymore and I'm keeping the money. Now, they said it was about $40,000 that, you know, he had owed them at the time he stopped. Now, he was basically on the run from the law, and he was hiding out. They were coming to his mother's house. His mother said they came to his house. Those four officers who would just come to his mother's house anyway, walk in like they own the place, walk right upstairs when they were doing their business. So it was like these corrupt cops did not know any boundaries, did not respect Larry, his mother, his livelihood, his family. So this particular occasion, they came to his mother's house looking for him and telling him, look, that little blankety blank, 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 blank son of yours, he's going to be dead. You raised the bastard. We're going to take him out. Right. And so finally, they tracked him down to his sister house, who stayed nearby in the projects. Now, under the guise of, now, mind you, he had been selling, you know, D-rugs for them. He knew a lot about them. So they said, okay, we got to lock him up. We're going to get the money and lock him up. So they was trying to charge him or frame him for a robbery and a murder. That's why they said they wanted to question him. When they came to his sister's house, he was hiding out. He knew that they was coming to kill him. He had already told I know too much. They're going to come kill me. And they explained that in narration where the police came in, they saw him, they fired a shotgun at him. He ducked off on some John Wick stuff, hit one of them, spent through the bedroll, blah, da, 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 and he ran them up out of there. He shot six police officers that day. Now, they said they had 9 police officers went into the apartment, and they had a total of 27 on the perimeter. Yet and still, this 21-year-old man, fearing for his life with nothing to lose, fought off those murderous, corrupt cops and shot it out with, you know, them, and was able to escape. He escaped, you know, his sister's apartment, and he was, you know, everybody in the projects was looking out for him. He was hiding here, hiding there, hiding here. And, you know, when the walls closing in, I think he went and stayed with his family, who he didn't know, just kind of went in there, was like, yo, I'm on the run, blah, blah, blah. And he was kind of holding the family, as they say, against their will. Now, I don't know, you know, that's just something I read, or maybe the family was helping him. But eventually he called the cops and was like, look, I know y'all looking for me. I'm in here with this family, so I don't want y'all to kill me. You know what I'm saying? I need some assurance that, you know, y'all want to kill me. So they negotiated for about a day. News reporters, as you see him being brought out, he was finally brought out, and, you know, they arrested him. Now this happened in 1986. 1986, they arrested him for attempted murder on 5 or 6 cops. Also, they charged him with the murder of 4 D-rug dealers. Once again, the framing aspect. These are probably people that those police officers killed. Before the attempted murder on the police trial, they had the murder trial for him. So they was trying to get him already. Fortunately, that framing didn't work. He beat that charge, right? Later that year, 1988, they had the police murder trial. he beat that charge because, of course, they proved that these police were coming to kill him. And it was documented, evidence started coming out on how all of these police officers were corrupt. There was something in New York that came out at the time called the Dirty 30, which was 30 corrupt cops. And, it found out that just like many, things that we're finding out today, the corruption of the police. Nevertheless, he beat that charge, right? So now he was serving 5 to 15 years for illegal gun possession. Now that's New York. You don't supposed to have a gun. So the only thing that he got convicted of for shooting the cops was the illegal gun, right? But while he's in jail for that, now they're bringing up another murder charge in like 1989. Okay, well, you killed this drug dealer. Like they're basically throwing stuff against the wall, trying to make them stick and, trying to frame him to the best of their abilities because, hey, you just don't shoot 6 cops, right, and get away with it. So they framed him for that murder charge. He beat that murder charge. Now, in 1989, or no, hold on, wait, what was it? 1991, they tried him for this other random murder that they said he did. Like, and if you think about this, like, come on, at what point do you say they're just trying to frame this man and lock him up for life for what he did, right? So finally, they got a conviction of that, and they sentenced him to 25 years to life. And there's video of them, beating him up in jail and, torturing him, dragging him through the jails because, once again, you just don't shoot 6 white police officers and get away with it. Nevertheless, if you saw his interview, he converted to Islam. He, became sort of once again a folk hero, exposing the law enforcement system, telling this story, but they could not let him continue to do so. In 2008, they're saying that this random Mexican guy stabbed him. And many people believe that he was, that was a hit on Larry Davis because eventually he was going to get out. Now he was going to be able to, tell everything that he knew, and he was, a staple in, Black folklore, even to this day. But a lot of times, a lot of people don't know about this because, once again, it happened 40 years ago. But Larry Davis is the symbolization of many Black men in America. Like the guy said, there were hundreds of Larry Davises working with corrupt police. Even in my hometown of Goldsboro, North Carolina, 2 or 3 years ago, there was a corrupt deputy sheriff that had one of the local guys that I grew up with selling D-rugs for him and a couple of others. So these are things that I bring forth to relate to what is happening now. This happened in 1986. That incident that I'm talking about happened in 2022, nearly 35 years later. And you probably can think of several incidents in your hometown, either from back then or now, that mirror this situation. But yet and still, these police officers, corrupt or not, these DAs, these judges, use the court system to cover up their own mishaps. And so shout out to Larry Hoover. Shout out to Larry Hoover too. And, shout out to Larry Davis, rest in peace to his family, his loved ones. A young man whose life was cut short, whose growth was stunted, all because these corrupt cops saw a intelligent, charismatic, popular young Black men who they could exploit to further their criminal enterprises. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments. Y'all see the number 919-587-7782. Thank y'all for liking, watching, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And as always, I pray you have peace and blessings. Scripture says all things that are hidden shall be revealed, and those things done in secret shall be exposed on the mountaintop.
Let's go, Rich. Let's go. You watching Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it. You should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. The propaganda grammar, don't believe none of it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it. You should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Who keep the people informed with stories abroad from literary work where the narrative's wrong. The research is always on point, the commentary is hard. It's Rich Teller raising the bar. Follow along, shout out to FBA, still FTP. Big up in FAC and all my black families. There's three sides to all stories. Which one you gon' believe? We run down on the false prophets when it comes to deceive. 100% urban world news, current events. We don't like them lies. Media is biased. We got God beside us. Ladies and just as power. If you don't know by now, look around me, the darkest hours. Cops squeeze the hammers, they don't understand us. Stop and freeze with our hands and kill us off like cancer. Don't speculate before the facts on the case. Tell a house, set them straight. My brother Rich investigates. You got your telehouse publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news don't muddle it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it. You should tune in to telehouse publishing. Telehouse publishing, breaking news coverage. The propaganda grammar, don't believe none of it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it. You should tune in to telehouse publishing.
Negroes have listened to the trickery and the lies and the false promises of the white man now for too long.